Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the weekly wrap up. It is Peter and Sal here from Strong, Healthy Women, and we are here to share all of the things that have been happening in our communities this week. So we have some exciting topics to get to dig deep into. How are you today, Sal?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, no, really, really good. So
Good.
during the week, I really liked this week. We talked about three different topics. One of them happened to be online workouts and, why they work for some people, why they don't work for other people. We talked about also what FitFlex is, so the program that we run, and broke it all down and why it is so effective for aging positively, I would say, is probably a good way to put it.
Yes.
And we also talked about, which was my absolute favourite topic this week, and that was we've got things to do.
Yes.
And so rather than saying we're always busy, the ladies in the FitFlex community and the insider community have got used to saying we've got things to do, but we're going to swap our workouts over. So instead of coming to 7 a.m., we're going to come to 6 a.m. or we're going to come to 5:30 p.m. so that we could get our workouts in, because we know that it's so, so important to us, because we want to keep aging well. We want to keep mobile. We want to keep active. We want to do all those things that we love, 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 and enjoy. And so it was just a great way to kickstart the week this week. So, how did you kickstart your week this week, Sal?
What did I do this week? I had a session in the gym. I went for a walk, as I do.
Yep.
And then Wednesday, so not really kickstarting my week, but Wednesday I did a workout in the pool,
Yes.
which was wonderful because we're quite hot up here at the moment. So it was nice to get
We
in the
are
pool.
very
But
hot.
yeah, still doing
Mm.
those exercises that we do in our FitFlex sessions, so squats,
Yeah,
lunges,
but
running. And yeah. So that was quite
doing
fun
it
this week.
all in the pool, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've always been a fan of pool workouts, particularly when it
Mm,
gets so hot. And, I will still sometimes, most of the time, just do my workout and then jump in the pool and do some laps afterwards just to cool down. But yeah, sometimes I just, jig around a little bit down there as well too. And we've done Zumba. We've done pool Zumba as well too, water Zumba.
yes.
So that's been a heap
Yes.
of fun, dancing and whatnot. So
Yes.
yeah, but I want to really recognise there's two women this week who have had some injuries, and that hasn't stopped them from working out. Do you want to tell us who they are?
So the two ladies that I picked out this week were Theresa, and I'll go into a little bit
Yes.
more with Theresa, and Melissa. And
Yes.
so I know Melissa contacted you, Peter, and she had a bit of an accident at school with
Yes. So
her shoulder.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'll just backtrack it a little bit. So, what we do in the FitFlex studio is that we give the ladies the workout for the week, but we also give them the how-tos and the alternates if they've got injuries, so that they can still work out. And Melissa has actually had some difficulties with her shoulder in the past, and she's been had physio. She's become really good. She's got herself healed. And then this week, what I noticed was she was struggling there. And I said, "Is your shoulder okay?" And she tried to talk, but for some reason she couldn't get her volume working, or the audio working, and so we couldn't actually hear. So she said, she's doing this, and I'm going, yes. And so she shot me an email to say what had happened during the week was there's a really heavy door at school. She's a teacher, and the door had blown shut, and it actually hit on that shoulder that she's had some injuries with. So she went and had it checked out, and so she knew that she just needed to take it easy. So, and that was great because it didn't stop her from doing what she needed to do, but she just identified that there was something there. So, and that was wonderful. And then with Theresa, tell us Theresa's story, Sel, because that's a really interesting one.
It is an interesting one. And so
Yeah.
one of the things we focus on in our FitFlex community, because we are, our focus is the aging woman. So most of
Mm,
our have grandchildren. So
they
Theresa
do.
does look after her
Not all,
grandchildren.
but many.
Most,
Mm,
yep. And
yeah.
looks after her grandchildren. And so it was a matter of, they had to be tidying up their toys and so forth. And so she was at home and she was doing the poor thing, ironing, and the phone rang and she stepped back and one of her
Yes.
grandkids' toys were there. So she's fallen, hit her hand on the side cabinet, and she's broken her thumb.
Mm-hmm.
So she's now currently in a like a hand brace, trying to get that thumb
Brace.
set. And she's also got a bruised tailbone. And so she rang just to let us know what was going on.
Yeah.
But kudos to her, because she could have opted for a medical hold. But, her whole
Yeah.
attitude was, no, I'll just do what I can do. I want to keep
Yeah.
moving. I need to keep moving. So I'll just do what I can do, which is a wonderful attitude. And it's the same attitude with Melissa. She had
Yeah.
that injury or that accident, and it was, no, I'm just going to persevere. I won't take, what some would say would be the easy way out and take time off,
Mm.
protecting that injury. If they would rather keep moving,
Yeah.
because they can still work their lower body parts. They can, Theresa can work one arm type thing. So the attitude
Yeah.
is wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, and the difference here is between Melissa and Theresa is Melissa comes into the virtual studio, so she comes into the sessions, we see her, she sees us. But Theresa doesn't. Theresa works out at home and she fits it into the schedule that she has between, I think she's retired now. So, she is looking after these grandkids of hers. And so she's got to make it work for her. Like a lot of our other ladies, they are just fitting it into their schedule. We don't let them off the hook, though. We challenge them. So we want them to work out 3 times a week. So, up goes a post and bright and early in the morning that says, okay, here's your challenge for today. This is how we want you to do the workout. So you could opt for example, doing the exercises and just counting the number of reps. Hey, that's easy to do. Well, not so easy, but you know what I mean. It's an easy process. But what we do is we try to mix that workout up, and we say, well, okay, no, what we're going to do is we're going to increase the number of reps, so we're going to go to a timed workout, or we're going to decrease the number of reps. So, and there's all sorts of weird and wonderful things. And stay tuned, ladies, because we've got an interesting one coming up this week that I tested on myself. Sel suggested it. It was a little bit tough, so we've done a bit of a modification to it. So I just said to Sel, I haven't worked out today because I was feeling like extremely sore. I did do some yoga, and I have been out walking, but I decided my muscles were really, really sore from what I did yesterday. So I needed that time to recover. And I think that's an interesting point. And I know that Melissa does this. I know that Theresa is doing it as well too. And there's many other ladies that do it as well. They listen to their body because their body's telling them that they can still move, they can still exercise. They just have to look after the part that's not so good at right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So well done. We're giving you a round of applause, ladies. Well done.
Shout out to you
Do
guys.
you know the other one? in our free group, so ladies, if you're not in our free group, it's called Women Over 50 Get Active and Healthy. I'll put a link up so that you can come and join us if you'd like to. That's where we give hints, tips and advice about the foundations of wellbeing. But over there, one of the ladies posted, and it was a brave post. I think it was an extremely brave post.
Very brave.
She was very real, very vulnerable. She said, I'm just lazy. Is anybody else feeling like this? I want to do more. How do I go about changing? I love that post. And so I just let it sit for the day because I wanted the other ladies in the community to have that opportunity to respond. The reason I wanted to do that is because there's a wealth of knowledge in that community where people could share, you know, what's worked for them or what their experience is or what their knowledge is. There's also that opportunity for them to support her. And what I loved about that, and the first thing that I wanted to acknowledge there was that how many ladies stepped up and gave some words of advice or put their hand up and said, I feel the same way. Because so many times we feel like we're the only person going through it. But that's not the case. There's other people that are going through something. We all go through things. And so just knowing that there are other people feeling the same way as what you're feeling really does help you go, oh, okay, it's not so bad. It is not just me.
Yes.
And there was some great advice. Was there one thing in particular that you picked out there that you really liked, the advice that came out?
One of our ladies in the group mentioned making a list for the day and just doing 20 minutes. And it wasn't a matter of getting through that list. It was just getting 20 minutes done. So, you know, it was just one thing that you did 20 minutes of. It didn't matter. And it was interesting because that was a technique that she uses. And she said that more often than not, she's going past that 20 minutes and she's still moving and doing things and you know, sitting on that couch and and I thought that was a wonderful tip.
It was a great tip. So I've gone and posted up this morning. So firstly, I acknowledged the bravery and the vulnerability of putting up that post. And then the first piece of advice that I gave was I want to acknowledge you and celebrate you for the fact that what you've done here is you've taken action. You've actually taken action because you've actually posted. There are many other people who are feeling like this that haven't taken that first step, they haven't taken action. So once you take that first step, that first action point, then it's like, what do I do next? You know, you now can build on that momentum. Okay, so my suggestion was, well, you know, you might think you're lazy, but maybe you're not compared to somebody else. Who knows? But it's how you feel that's important. But what I wanted you to do first off is to write down why it's important for you to get moving. So take it right back. So that is your second action. Write down why. And what I've done is I've given you a challenge, which is to write down 10 reasons today. And 10 reasons the following day until you get to 50 reasons. So you need to do it for 5 days. When you get to that stage, then you're going to post back up in this group and tell me that you got your 50 reasons. And if you're brave enough, I'd love to see your 50 reasons. But if you're not, that's okay, because once you've got your 50 reasons, I'm going to tell you what to do next. Because what you're going to find is simply by writing it down, so it goes back to the other lady who gave that piece of advice to do a list and check it off. Once you start writing it down, that's when you will start to have more action. So you will start to write down 10 reasons and you'll find yourself getting up and doing something. Even if it is mopping your floors, you're doing something. So you are moving, you're not sitting, you're not binge watching telly. And so that is the first step in taking action. Firstly, to identify it. The second thing is to ask for help. The other piece of advice I gave, and I know that one of the other ladies suggested it as well too, is make sure you get some work done, some blood works and the likes done with your medical practitioners, because you really want to make sure that it's not some type of medical condition that you've got that is bringing you down. So they're my pieces of advice. Do you have anything that you'd like to add to that, Sal?
Awesome. I was just going to add up, you've put the challenge up to the ladies in the group. I was just going to say, if they're brave enough, maybe put up their first reason why.
Their first reason. Okay.
First reason why. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to put that up in the group. And I know when I did my 50 reasons why, sometimes it can get a little bit, you know, when you're digging deep into it, it can get a little bit elusive and you're struggling to get your 50 reasons why. I went back over my first 20 reasons and I broke that down. So it might have been, you know, I want to move. You know, that's the reason. That's a great reason. Why do I want to move? Because I want to be healthy. That's a great reason. Why do I want to be healthy? Because I don't want to have my dad's heart diseases.
Yeah. Yeah. That reminds me of a particular technique that we use quite often in the mastermind that I'm in. It's like, so what? Why do I care? So when you say, I want to be fit, well, so what? Why do I care? And so you keep asking yourself that question until you can't drill down on it any further, till you get to that real, you know, emotional connection of why it's so important to you. So yeah, that's a great one. So how do you keep yourself motivated then? So if you're thinking to yourself, well, I don't want the heart disease that my dad has. What keeps you going? How do you stay on track?
Knowing that what I'm doing is going to keep that heart disease at bay. You know, well, I think it was this week or last week, and we spoke about the heart disease in my family, you know, and it is on both sides. And it goes back to, you know, as far as I know, my first knowledge is my grandparents. I don't know how far it goes back other than that. But it's just knowing, you know, I don't want that heart disease. And it's not that it's a motivation, it's a reason, it's a why, and it's not about motivation when I do what I do. It's about action, as you say. You just get up and do it. I'm not looking for motivation. I do believe that action will lead to your momentum. So, you know, if you're doing it the first day, you're going to do it the second day, you're going to do it the third day.
Yeah.
I've always been a big believer in telling myself, I did it yesterday, so don't make up an excuse for today. There's absolutely no reason in the entire world that I can't do it today, unless I was in hospital with two broken arms. But do you know what I mean? Like, it can't be, I can't do it today because I'm tired. That's not a reason.
No, you can do something. It's like I have sore muscles today, but I did something. Yeah. And that's not blowing my own trumpet or anything like that. It's just that I know that it's important to my health. It's important to me being able to age well.
Yes.
And go on.
Sorry, and they're the questions that you ask yourself when you start that action and that momentum, you know. What possible excuse or reason could you give yourself today? Your muscles are sore, but why does that stop you from going, you know?
Yeah,
Because your muscles are
yeah,
being sore. I know, yeah.
yeah. So if you've tuned in before, just recently, you would have heard that have written a chapter for a book called Overcoming Life's Obstacles. But it spurred me on to actually want to write a whole book. And so, which is a lot bigger than writing one chapter. So it's a bigger project. But what I did was I started to map things out yesterday, and one of the topics that I had some ideas around, which was motivation, and I started writing some bits and pieces on motivation. And as you know, Sal, I always call motivation the magical, mystical unicorn. So I don't think that there's any woman alive that wouldn't, have this fascination with unicorns. We think it's a mysterious, powerful, just this marvelous creature, and we believe that there are unicorns, but the reality is we've never seen them. And I think, I believe that motivation is one of those things, that it is an area that is some mystical beast that we never really see. So what happens is, once we get started, as you said, we take the action, we build momentum, and we think that's motivation. But the reality is it's momentum, it's action, it's consistency, and we're being persistent. So motivation to me is one of those. And I was thinking about this in a lot more detail. I think motivation is one of those things where, think of it as being a big basket, and what we do is we throw, if we can't think of what the reason is, we throw it into the motivation basket. And I think that we don't spend enough time sitting in stillness, actually really working out why we're not motivated. So why is it? Because it isn't really, it's probably not the motivation. It's probably that maybe we don't know how, like the lady who reached out in Women Over 50, Get Active and Healthy. She says that she's lazy, and she says, what will I do? She's asking the question. So it's not so much that she's not motivated. She just doesn't know what to do first. And I think that motivation is possibly that big basket where we throw in lots of different reasons that we just need to spend the time on working out what the reason is. When we can work out what the reason is, guess what? We take the action.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think
Anyway,
the other thing too is not, don't make it easy on yourself, by saying it's motivation when you know perfectly well that it's probably something else.
oh, yeah.
Don't say that we shouldn't tell ourselves that I don't know how to, not that I don't know how to do it, but I'm too tired, or my body hurts, or when it could be something else that you don't really want to face. So that, very well could be that you don't know where to start. So just reach out and say that.
Yeah, so what you're saying is that you might be telling yourself that you're too tired, but the reality is you're not really tired, that it's something else other than that. Yeah, okay,
Yes.
so the real reason. Yeah, okay, I've got it. Yeah,
Sorry,
it
ladies,
just
I
took me
didn't
a
get
while
much sleep last night.
No, that's okay. We've worked it out there. It's good.
I don't even understand your language today.
No, it made sense. I just had to put it into simpler terms for my simple mind to actually be able to get it in there. That's what happens as we start to age more. I find personally that I like to have it broken down into that simpler format. And when I can understand it in that simpler format, it stays in there rather than floating out again. Oh dear, ladies. Okay, so some interesting topics here today, ladies. So we've talked about the three things that I'd love for you to go back and watch. They're up on YouTube, which were, what is FitFlex and why is it important so that you can age more positively? Why online workouts are so good, and working out whether they're for you or whether they're not for you. And rather than using that word, I'm a busy woman, I want you to start thinking about it as, I got things to do, and start to actually say what the things are that you've got to do. So it's all about, scraping into finding out what makes us tick, what's real to us, and showing our vulnerability, which we've talked about today. We've celebrated Melissa, we've celebrated one of the ladies in Women Over 50, and all of the ladies over there who have really supported her, as well as Theresa. And they've all got things to do. And what they're all doing is striving to live this best life that they can live, so they can do all the things that they want to do. And, like Sal mentioned earlier, for Theresa, she wants to be, being able to be really active with her grandkids, whereas Melissa's got, her daughter's teenager. So, she wants to be able to try and understand that teenage mind. Cash, yeah, try. So cast yourself back and just try and get involved in a life, and listen for and look for the warning signs as well too. So that's my piece of advice when it comes to teenagers. And so we are really looking forward to going into next week. I can't believe that we're at the midpoint of November already. And if you're not on our mailing list, I would jump on there today, because we are sending out today, anybody on our mailing list is getting the one dish dinner recipe guide. So it's all about helping you save time if you're that woman who's got things to do. Okay, thanks for joining me, Sal.
Thank you for having me, as always. Have a wonderful week, everybody. Have a nice, relaxing Sunday too.
Yeah, okay, will do. You too. All right, everybody, we'll see you all soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Sal.
Bye, Peter.